Let's fucking talk. Salutations, everyone. I'm Koshi, and yeah, I haven't been doing gameplay videos for a long time. I haven't done a lot of things in a long time. I haven't been writing. I haven't been working on the series as much as I said I would, which is the highlight goals that I said I was going to do this year, is to focus on writing. And so far, things are not going to plan. For a lot of people have more plans for me instead of me having plans for myself. But, we don't know for certain until that bridge is crossed. Anyway, so besides that topic, we are going to be talking about Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game, based on the movie, based on the comic, the game. That joke's been done to death. Now, I never played this game when it first released 10 years ago, and which is pretty sad. But then again, at the time, it's understandable why I never got to play this game. So, a little history there. It's 2010. I was in the theater one day with my family, with my brother, sister, and mother. I think she was there. I don't know. But I was in the theater. We were waiting to get our snacks, the popcorn, and all that. We were going to watch the movie Prince of Persia. And near the theater that was playing the movie was a poster for Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Now, for someone who doesn't have any knowledge of the comics, has no knowledge of it whatsoever, looked at this poster and said, "This looks like a stupid kids movie." Now, you couldn't blame me for saying that, being a stupid little tween back then, the 2010s. I saw this poster and immediately thought it was a dumb live-action kids movie. I mean, I didn't see the face of the actor. I don't know if he was in his 20s or 30s. I thought he was just some little kid rocking a guitar, and it was just some lame kids movie. And I'm thinking, oh, he's gonna fight aliens or some generic James Bond bad guy, etc., like Clock Stoppers. Even though I did enjoy Clock Stoppers back then. It's weird. My memory about that movie is different than what I saw on HBO. It's weird. I thought that movie was more cinematic, more serious, but then when I watched the movie again, it was very comedic. Damn. My memory is very shit thinking that movie was a serious film. Anyway, so seeing that poster, I just scoffed at it, didn't like it. We went to the theater, and lo and behold, would you be surprised that one of the first trailers to Prince of Persia's, before Prince of Persia was being seen or being played, was Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. And I didn't know if it was the movie or not. I didn't know it was the title. I just saw the movie, saw the trailer, and thought, oh, so it's a romance movie. And then after that, I see the action movie, and I'm like, a romance movie with action and video game references. And so far, I was instantly kind of sold. At first, I was like thinking that looks dumb, but somehow I feel like I should watch this. Yes. I knew I was not going to watch it in the theaters because, let's face it, my family doesn't have the same taste as me as a kid, so they would be thinking, ugh, I don't want to watch this crap. So, after watching Prince of Persia, that was basically it. The movie was going to come out soon, and I haven't heard from it since that trailer. And then we went out to see another movie that was in the drive-in on the same weekend as Scott Pilgrim was gonna come out. What movie was it? Hold on, let me check. Okay, I could be wrong, but I think the movie we were going to see was either Last Airbender. God, I forgot how bad that movie was. No, I never forgot. I never forgot how bad that movie was. Honestly forgot how many movies I saw that year. Mainly, I've seen a lot of movies in the theater last year. We went to the drive-in. I think we saw that, and I think we saw Resident Evil Afterlife. I don't know. No, or Lottery Ticket, because I know everyone wanted to see that. I think, except me. um, I don't know what movie it was we were going to see in 2010 in a summer weekend. I saw Inception with my sister in the theater, which was pretty cool, so it couldn't be that. But yeah, it was one of these films we went to the drive-in to see, and they were already playing it, and we were too late for it because you know how lines are so fucking long in drive-ins. So we went to see Scott Pilgrim because we heard of it, and I don't know if anyone recommended it to us or we were like, hey, we should see that. And I missed the beginning of that movie, and when we were in when we went to the screen, it was already at the second Evil X, Lucas Lee, and they were already fighting. And so far, you got confused what was going on in the movie, but it later picks up to show you, yeah, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. Like, even if you missed the beginning of the movie, like, you missed that Scott was dating a 17-year-old girl named Knives Chow. You missed that he was in love with this girl named Ramona Flowers that he met. You missed that he fought Matthew Battelle and he has to learn that he has to defeat 7 evil exes to win Ramona's heart. And you miss all this. And you also miss him breaking up with Knives and her being torn up and broken apart about it. You miss a lot of things in that in the beginning first few minutes of that movie, but so far you start to pick it up real soon what the movie is about and what's going on and what's the plot very quickly. Honestly, I mean, those first, like, what, 20 minutes in the movie, yeah, I really wished I saw those first 20 minutes of that movie because, man, when I first did see it, when it went on TV, on movie channels, I was like, I missed this? Damn it. I got kind of pissed about that. But yeah, I honestly didn't know what to think about the movie when I first saw it in the theaters. At first, I was like, what the fuck is this? But then I enjoyed it because this was probably my first ever movie I saw that was directed by Edgar Wright. And Edgar Wright had that style that I was never familiar with in movies because when I see a movie, it's always the basic, like, oh, here are these camera angles, oh, here are these camera angles, even though they are good shots of what directors do because directors have their own different styles, and it's fine. But it's usually the same thing. Usually you see the style in the look of their films, the angles that they go with in their films, or what kind of tone they set for their films. You see that in directors. Scott Pilgrim takes all those camera movements and makes something unique. And even the whole, like, putting all the comic book, like, words, you know, like bam, punch, or like even like a scream, like an ah or something, like all that comic book feel to it with the movie to make it like, you know, basically a comic book movie, but also make it look like a video game movie in the process with the versus uh logo and like how many points he ranked up, all the like coins that fall off after defeating an enemy. It's like they went so far and beyond this movie, and I loved it for that. And as much as I was so like not invested in the story as much when I first watched it, because again, I missed the beginning of this film, I was still intrigued, honestly, with the look of this film, the feel of this film, and it just made me smile, made me love this type of direction. And I wish I saw this in more movies, which I eventually did years later when I went out when The World's End was gonna be out in theaters, and I went out my way to watch like the first two movies of the Cornetto trilogy by Edgar Wright, and I actually enjoyed them. And I was like, okay, let's see this guy who directed Scott Pilgrim that I actually love, that has made that film, and see what his other movies are like, because I was wondering maybe he just did that for Scott Pilgrim, and I was wrong. He does it in all his movies with that type of direction, that type of style, the him doing foreshadowing, which is the best form of comedy and story that he's done in his movies. That when you watch the movie a second time, you start to pick up on those foreshadowing like lines or moments in the film, or certain like Easter eggs and little references in the background he places that you don't see at first, but you soon later do once you watch the movie about a dozen times. And I love the man for that. I praise the man for that, because he goes above and beyond making these films, and it's just gorgeous. It's just beautiful. I love it. Even Baby Driver, which was not much of a comedy but more of a serious drama, but put it in the style of Edgar Wright, and you got something amazing. And Baby Driver was really good, because that was technically like his dive away from a comedy, his dive away from anything hilarious. I mean, there was some little silly moments here and there, but the movie was more played out as a drama and action heist chase movie, which rightfully so is good, which makes it all the more exciting to learn, like, man, what's his horror movie gonna be like? What is the horror movie he's making gonna be like when we see it? And I'm hyped for that. I'm hyped for him, because Edgar Wright directing a horror movie, I'm there. I am there. It's great. He hasn't disappointed me. He's become one of my favorite directors, hands down, of all time. He's a great director. Even like listening to him and Simon Pegg talk about like the movie, talk about the movie they made and how much like cop movies they watched when making Hot Fuzz. That was like beautiful. I love that commentary. Um, his commentary with him, Brian Lee O'Malley, was amazing. Also, uh, when they did Scott Pilgrim, that was beautiful. I learned a lot about what happened on set, how they did this shot, or how they got this um how they got this shot done or whatever. Like, they explained a lot, and I love it. I love how they talk about the effort they put in that. It's like, I remember the people who made Atomic Blonde and how they got the shot of Charlize Theron throwing this pan at a bad guy, and then the camera like whooshes back to the bad guy and sees him get hit with the pan. And they do this thing where they show her throwing it, and they quickly turn the camera to the bag, quickly turn the camera. But during that quick shot they did, where it's just blurry lines and you don't see anything, they actually splice it. They cut the film at an exact point moment where the blurred like images, and then cut it again to a shot where they move the camera again to show the enemy getting hit with a pan, to make it look like a seamless like one shot cut. And I'm believing that's how they do that with a lot of films that do that quick one shot, like quick cut right there, and that's a good thing to learn for anyone who is filmmaking. And I've learned a lot about film just by watching people talk about film and how things are done in movies, how long a scene takes to be filmed in one day. It sounds exhausting, but it sounds interesting of how the effort they put, the patience they have into trying to get a scene done, and or the difficulty it is to film a scene when it's a certain time of day or night and they have to hurry up before like the sun comes out, or hurry up before the sun goes down, because they need this shot for a certain thing and they know they need it exactly right. It's amazing. But I'm going through a tangent there. Anyway, I grew to love Scott Pilgrim versus the World a lot. I still haven't read the graphic novels. I'm sorry. I mean, the movie straight up said it itself, where they said that the movie, I mean, no, the book is better than the movie. And I love that joke that Edgar Wright said, like, I know people were gonna say that, so I beat you guys to it before you could say it. I love that. I heard somewhere, and I don't know if it's true or not, I heard somewhere that they're making an animated series of Scott Pilgrim, and it's going to have the original cast from the movie to reprise their roles, voicing their respective characters. I heard this a long time ago about them doing this, and I don't know if they're going to do it or not. I heard this last year, I think, when they did the anniversary, that they might do that. And if it's true, that's awesome. I would love to see an animated series that's more faithful to the comics, and actually having the exact same cast back in the show, because that sounds awesome, just having them all back and such. I mean, they did it before when they made this prequel animation in Adult Swim of how Scott met Kim Pine, and how he formed a band with this other girl that he was with and such. And it was a cool animation, and they even referenced it in the movie, surprisingly. And just strange, because like Scott was like drinking, and he went to, and Ramon was like, so is that really the entire story, that there with Kim Pine, that she just had freckles and that's it? Okay, fine. I fought about a dozen guys to get to this other guy that had her kidnapped, and I punched him so hard he saw the curvature of the earth. Which is so true, because if you saw the animation, that does happen. And man, that was a nice little like touch to show that. And if you saw the animation, you're like, oh wow, yeah, that did happen. Or he might have said that in the comic. I don't know. I know the comic sounds better than the actual movie, but you can't blame them that cramming the whole entire 6 books into one movie does sound hard. Not only that, even if the 6th book hasn't been out yet, and Edgar Wright had to go to Brian Lee O'Malley, who did help with the production and concept art for the film, to help make a map to wonder how the end of the movie And Brian Lee O'Malley's like, okay, so this is what we do. This is what we're gonna do, and blah 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 this. But yeah, it's amazing how I enjoy this movie, and hoping that if there is gonna be an animated series, I'm there. I'm gonna watch it and I'll be there. And then maybe it'll convince me to read the graphic novel for once. I have a lot of comics I'm reading now and manga. I still haven't finished Steel Ball Run, which I should. Ugh. But there was a game for Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and I think it was very too late to play that game. So why didn't I play the game? Did I had a PS3 back then? Well, no, not yet. I didn't have a PS3 in 2010. And I didn't have any new consoles whatsoever back then. All I had was my GameCube, the Dreamcast, and PS1, and occasionally my brother's PlayStation 2. And I had my PSP. That's all I had. Me playing Dissidia, Final Fantasy, and Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and whatever game I can get my hands over that looked interesting to me. I had no PS3 then. I don't remember when I got a PS3. It was probably in 2011, 2012. And yes, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World didn't go under until 2014. But here's the problem. I didn't have a PlayStation account. Now here's the other problem. I didn't have working internet back then. No Wi-Fi whatsoever. And even if my father did had Wi-Fi when I was a teenager, he wasn't giving away the password so easily to anyone at all. It was all for himself, baby. My sister had internet. She has Wi-Fi. Here's the problem with her Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi is fucking slow. So downloading an entire game on a PlayStation Store with that Wi-Fi is one of the worst experiences of my life. I bought Final Fantasy VII, the original, on PS3. And guess what? I never got any farther to downloading that game. So I never got to play it, and I wasted money on a game I never played. At least once. I downloaded the Harley Quinn DLC for Arkham City and the Catwoman DLC, but the Catwoman DLC was quicker to download. However, Harley Quinn's DLC for Arkham City was very long and drawn out that I had to wait for an entire fucking day. No, not even a day. I had to wait for 2 or 3 days for it to download, meaning putting a strain on the PS3 to have that whole entire DLC be downloaded. Jesus. The internet was slow. Annoying. Even if I had a chance already to download Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the internet was not gonna let me with that slow-ass internet. And it was already probably too late already at that point when we finally got good internet for everyone. And even then, my PS3 broke. Well, it was not my PS3. My sister bought this PS3 for me and everyone else in the house. And when we had, and since the strain on the downloads affected the PS3, it broke. Lost all progress, lost all memory of video games that I had, and not even remembering the original password to the PlayStation account because I don't know the email my sister put in was exhausting and annoying. So shit. So even at that point, I couldn't download the game. And to make things worse, the PlayStation Store didn't work. Now, I thought that, oh, the PS3, the store was down. No, the store was not down. Here's the real reason why the PlayStation Store didn't work. It was because the PS3 was broken. It couldn't access to the store. Even if you have the best internet known to man, that store could not be accessed, which was the worst thing ever, to not buy anything on the store. That's why I bought a lot of physical copies back then, because I couldn't rely on my internet back then. So by that time, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, was officially canned at that point. Never got to play it. Never got to play a single game of Scott Pilgrim, ever. Never even got a chance to touch it. The only closest thing I had to playing Scott Pilgrim was watching people play it on YouTube. And that was insulting. Seeing people play that game, seeing how fun it is, seeing how Scott beats the shit out of the evil X's, it was something I wanted to do, something that looked fun and challenging. Even though I wasn't meant much for challenges back then, I always played games on easy mode or normal victory. Actually, not even normal difficulty, always easy mode with me. Yeah, I sucked at video games. I still do, but I always try to put my games in the hardest difficulty possible. I have Cyberpunk 2077 on hard mode right now, and I have Outer Worlds on hard mode as well. Do I regret doing that? Honestly, I don't. Maybe I just want a challenge in games now because I was robbed of a challenge in Kingdom Hearts 3 because Proud Mode was absolute bullshit in Kingdom Hearts 3. So, that should be it. I never got a chance to play that game. And it's very insulting to injury when every time I load up my DVD of my copy of the movie, I always see an ad for that game. And it's kind of really, really insulting where it says, hey, play Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, only on PS3, Xbox, and other. And that was so insulting, seeing that game being played and annoyed that you can't play it. Even though I wouldn't be able to do co-op mode because I never had any friends to play with or hang out with to play a game, except for one time with an Xbox 360 and playing Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe with them. It was a sad time. Was I still feeling like there was salt in the wound of me not being able to play that game every time I watched the movie? A little. I mean, it's fun to watch that trailer, but it's still pretty hard to see it, knowing that you can't play that game anymore. And I never did. I never did back then. I never got to try it. And, you know, it was sad. And after how many years? After 5 or 6 years of no Scott Pilgrim, and all of a sudden, 10-year anniversary of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World happens. Awesome. An announcement that there might be an animated series being made that's more faithful to the comics. Cool. And then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, because I follow Brian Lee O'Malley on Twitter, we get an announcement. And that announcement is that Brian Lee O'Malley had been contacted by Ubisoft. And that seemed promising. And I wasn't gonna get my hopes up. It was like, oh, I have been fucked over like this before. There's no way it's gonna happen. And all of a sudden, an ad came on. An ad came on when I was about to watch a video. And boom, there it was. 10-year anniversary cake right there. And out comes Scott himself, 23 years old, punching his way through the cake. And the announcement: Scott Pilgrim versus the world, the game. Scott Pilgrim is back. In complete form. And now gonna be released on PS4, Xbox, Nintendo Switch. Get yours today, this holiday season. Only it didn't come out in the holiday season. It came out this month in January. And we got Cyberpunk 2077, which is the most controversial game ever because of the shit that's happening with CD Projekt Red at this moment. But I'm not getting into that. It was amazing. I was shocked. I dropped my jaw seeing that announcement, seeing Scott Pilgrim right there, about to be releasing in 2020, which is what I thought back then, but sadly got moved. And I was hyped. Seeing a game that I never got a chance to play back then finally get my dream come true, to finally play a game that I really wanted to play for so many years. I couldn't sleep on the day before the game got released. I mean, I did sleep a little to, get a few hours in me to be well rested. Unlike now, because I couldn't sleep for shit today. But Scott Pilgrim right there, 12 a.m. exactly at midnight. Game was released. Immediately I bought it. Sure, it was a stupid idea to purchase it like that quickly, but hey, I was saving that money for exactly that game. And damn it, I was not disappointed. I was happy. I was hooked. I immediately played it, and my god, it's a hard game. I have played beat 'em ups before with my brother in arcades before. The old arcade cabinets, playing games with my brother, fighting, beating up shit. I even played a beat 'em up game with my mother at a pizza place, which was the Simpsons game on the arcade machine made by Konami. So it's weird. I never figured my mom would know how to fight in a beat 'em up game, but she did. She held out her own, like I did. So it was cool. It was fun. She was Marge, I was Bart. I know, cliche. But recently, last year in November, I think it was November, I don't remember. No, not November. I don't remember the month, but anyway, sometime last year, I was at a family reunion, and me, my brother, and I think my uncle were playing Streets of Rage 4, and we got through that game the entire night. Fighting, beating up bad guys left and right. It was a good time. And it was fun. And knowing that Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was coming out on the Switch, it made me think, man, it'll be fun to hang out with people and play that game with someone. Which I have yet to have anyone play that game with because, complications is all I can say. But I went through this game. I played Scott typically, but because I had to start as Scott. Like, who else could I have played right now immediately? I was like, I'll play Scott first, and I did. Had fun, did great. Now I'm playing the game a second time around as Ramona. And then I don't know who I'm gonna play next. Maybe Knives or Kim. Who knows? But I play the game. It is very grindy, to say the least, which is not a bad thing. You gotta level yourself up by buying like items at a shop, to strafing your character, to make sure that to get a lot of lives bought and health in order to progress with the game, because the game does not hold your hand. It is aggressive. Like, this game is fucking aggressive as hell, man. It really is a test of skill because I played this on rough and tough mode, and because again I really wanted to be challenged in this game, but I played a more slightly difficulty, slightly hard difficulty, where I can at least get my bearings and know what I can expect from playing that game. And it is just, it will never hold your hand. As I said before, it will never hold your hand. It's telling you straight up, you gotta level up, you gotta unlock your moves, you gotta make sure you find Wallace's mystery shop to buy a certain items in there to strafing your character higher, but it's expensive, which is fine. And man, it was hard to get through the evil exits. Matthew Patel was a bit hard, but I got through fine. Lucas Lee, he wasn't that difficult because, to be fair, like most games I've always played, it's always the side characters that are tough to beat, like the side bosses, like the bad guys that you face, the evil henchmen basically in the game, that are kind of difficult because they really gang up on you and don't fucking let up at all. It was very ridiculous. I came across a few glitches here and there. You can see them on my Twitter. I posted them a lot on my Twitter. I haven't posted another one yet that I'm gonna release soon, but I had a horrible time with the game's bugs, kind of. I mean, no, that's too exaggerated. It was hilarious, the bugs in the game. Fighting Lucas Lee, I had picked up a guy, one of the skateboarders, and I was gonna throw him at Lucas Lee. And then once I grabbed him, he tried to get up, and all of a sudden he's like floating in mid-air, and I'm like grabbing to nothing, but it's like I was using the force and like throwing him down at Lucas Lee and a bunch of the other skateboarders. This guy floating because apparently Scott Pilgrim has the force now. And it's fucking hilarious. Yes, I was on top of a trash can, and then one of the enemies picked up the trash can and tried to throw me off of it, but I was still on it. Which was so funny. My playthrough with Ramona, I came across a glitch, and I think this glitch happened when an update for this game came out the next day after its release. And when I was playing as Ramona, and when you're in the Todd Ingram stage, I was fighting one of the enemies, and immediately out of nowhere there is an invisible man beating the shit out of me, and actually making me game over immediately because I couldn't see him. I don't know where to hit him, and I don't even know if I beat him already. So it was like so difficult to wonder, where is this invisible man?
I'm the invisible man. I'm the invisible man. Incredible how you can see right through me. I say yeah, 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 yeah. I'm the invisible man. Whoa. I say yeah, 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 yeah. I'm the invisible man.
It was so weird. The game then got annoying for me. Not annoying as in annoyingly difficult. No. The Caddy and Nagi twins and Gideon Graves are the most annoying for me because they have like 3 boss levels in one long stretch of a level. And if you're not leveled up properly, if you're not prepared, but again, the game is all about trial and error. You learn from it, and then you start to learn that you gotta be prepared for it. And I was so annoyed by those ones. Those were annoyingly difficult. Gideon and the Katayanagi twins. But the annoying part was basically the next, like, 2 X's. Lucas Lee. No, the 3 other X's. Lucas Lee, Todd Ingram, and Roxy Richter. All 3 of them were too easy to beat. And it felt like an insult to injury there. Because, I mean, Lucas Lee was a bit difficult because he had like skateboarders coming in and trying to grab their boards and him just skating around trying to hit you. He didn't become difficult for me as Scott, but with Ramona, he kept running me the fuck over with a skateboard while I was down on the ground. It was hilarious, honestly. Todd Ingram, I beat him on first try as Scott. And I think Ramona as well. And it was fine. He was a bit hard here and there, but still, he was easy to beat. I think the most insulting one for me that was too easy for me to beat. Too easy. It annoyed the hell out of me how easy she was to beat. And that was Roxy Richter. Her enemies in that level, and one of the best like songs in the game. Well, all the songs are amazing, but that one song that I keep hearing in the trailer every time I boot up the Scott Pilgrim movie and I see that trailer, the that song, they the ninjas in that game and the thief that steals your money, they are the most annoying enemies in that level. And the ninjas are hard to beat as well because some of them spit fire. One is like a fat geisha chick or something. And then there's people on fire running around like saying they're on fire, and I can't even touch these guys because even if I did punch them, they would burn me into flames, and you have to wait for them to kill themselves off by frying themselves up on a grill in this open hibachi kind of like style like grill that's cooking food, and you can't progress, and even if you try to dodge them, you still get burned. You can't predict their movements every time when you're in that level. And it was so annoying. To the point where I was at 0 lives left. And I see Roxy Richter. And what happens? She has a sword. She doesn't extend it the first go around I had with her when I was fighting her as Scott. I took a bamboo stick and started beating the hell out of her with the bamboo stick. And oh my god. You will learn to respect me, bitch! Now go back to your room and wear something proper and not a slut. Is that bunnies? It's annoying. But she got beat the hell with that bamboo stick. She didn't even try to fight back. She was put in a corner as Scott beat the shit out of her with a bamboo stick. It was insulting. And then I got to the Kayanagi twins, and they were annoyingly hard, but honestly, at least it was a challenge for me to continue on playing this game to beat them. Like, it was a challenge that I was willing to fucking face to go and beat them, and I went through so much, like, freaking game over screens to beat them, to the point where I had enough money to buy an extra life, and I don't know what this thing is called, but it brings your health back up to 200, or the height or whatever level of your health bar is from you leveling up. And even at that point, it was tough. Not because the Kayanagi twins were tough. I'm talking about the henchmen in this fucking game. Like, they do not fucking give you a chance to beat them. Like, no matter how many times you beat them down, they somehow get back up. And usually they will just block your attack every time, and you have to wait for a certain moment where they're not blocking the attack. And it is so fucking hard. I don't know if it's because I'm bad at playing beat 'em ups, or, you know, I've played Ruby Grim Eclipse, which was a hack and slash, and that game is meant for co-op, yet I played it by myself, because I have no friends. But I persevered, everybody, and just strive toward greatness to beat this game in a week. Well, not technically a week. I would say about 3, 4, 5 days. I think I've been playing this game. Who knows? But yeah, I've been so hell bent on beating this game that it's insane. It's nuts. And when I finally beat the Kayanagi twins, immediately went to Gideon Graves, and holy shit, Gideon Graves is hard to beat. So, it's not because of his first iteration boss battle I had to fight him, where he's like a hulking monster, where he is turning into like a fallen angel, trying to attack me, beat the shit out of me, throwing meteorites at me. It's not that one that annoys me. The beginning part annoys me, where you're at a time limit and you have to go down this elevator to get to the bottom without exploding. And I exploded 3 or 4 times, to the point where as soon as I got better, as soon as I got 7 extra lives now that I bought just so I can survive, I finally do make it out of that elevator with no scratches. Well, I got beaten up, but no like, explosion scuffs on me whatsoever. And as soon as it gets to where he puts you inside his body, that's where I got annoyed. A lot. Out of anger. So, there's this boss battle of him where he's this giant abomination. And as this giant abomination, you have to attack his heart in order to kill him. And in this heart, where in his body, you find the sword, which is the power of love. Now I grab the sword, and I fight him with the sword. And I immediately lost the sword when he started to smash against the floor of the ground beneath me, and it starts crumbling down. And I fell into one of those holes with the sword in my hand. Guess what didn't come back? The sword. It didn't come back at all. And it made me so angry because, God, once you lose that sword, you're basically kind of fucked. Because that sword helps you get through a lot. That sword helps you. That sword helps you beat the enemy without going near him. But even if you're far away, he will break through the ground and fucking kill you with that sword gone and dead beneath the water. And it took so many tries to beat that boss because, again, there's no, save your progress here. So, which is kind of like my main kind of problem with the game, but then again, it's a beat 'em up, so I kind of give it a pass for that. That there's no checkpoints whatsoever, so, I'm not gonna fault them for that. But God, that Gideon fight almost killed me, I swear to God. It was a point where I finally did beat him. Where I punched the living daylights on his side, pecs. And then, because he couldn't reach his fist near there for some reason, and I already beat him. But I knew they were going to pull out some bullshit out of me. And then I had to fight him again. To the point where I had to fight more annoying henchmen that were robots. And I'm surprised that I made it away from those robots and beat them. And out of pure luck and chance that I would have never figured out if I didn't hid behind the middle of the corner to get to the enemies, was a shop that was selling items to level you up to boost your health. Thank God that was there, because I was like, okay, I need this, I need that, I need health, and I just stocked myself up until I was full health again and strengthened up as well to beat the robots. And then I finally get to Gideon, which I carried this baton, the police kind of baton they use to beat the shit out of people. I got that. I kept it. Gideon had his sword, the one where he's like, wrong move, baby. And does the Naruto thing in the movie. And he comes in fighting me, and I beat the shit out of him with the baton stick. And it wasn't easy, but it wasn't too difficult. I did beat him, but I knew it was going to be bullshit because he was going to turn into a robot. And I was thinking, can this end? And thank God it did after that, because you had to do the whole "you are blowing up right now" scene, and then he explodes, and then you get all of his coins at the end. And then I finally beat the game. God. Usually with games like this where it's difficult, I always take like a 24 to 48 hour break on them, or maybe more than that, where I just forget it. But Scott Pilgrim was a game that I was determined to beat its story. I was determined to beat its story. I waited so many years to play this game. I wasn't gonna quit on it. I wasn't gonna give up on it. Plus, it was a well-deserved, needed stress reliever and break from all the stuff I've been doing recently, to get my mind off of things, to finally like calm down and actually maybe finally pull up the journal and write my freaking script for once in my life, because I promised I would. But yeah, what did I think of the game overall? Fun. I love it. It's a fun, cool beat 'em up. It's something I would definitely pick up. Like, this is a game to help you relieve stress. I mean, there's also Mortal Kombat that I have on my Switch, and Smash, and Blaze Blue. Jesus Christ, I have a lot of fighting games. But I think Scott Pilgrim is like an ultimate stress reliever of those things. Mortal Kombat is something where you do a fight and that's it. And yeah, it does relieve stress, but I think Scott Pilgrim is the best way to like go in, like, chill out and relieve some tension, get it out there, yell, and just take out your anger on all the enemies that attack you, and use that to your advantage to help you be more determined to beat the game, or at least a level for a day. And that was the best mindset I had, because even though if I was angered, mad, or, you know, having like a bad time, even in the most depressing moments, it does help me be more calmer after playing it. It was fun. I enjoy the game. It's fun, addicting, honestly. And if anyone else has bought the game, any of my friends out there that has bought the game, that has went out to get it, it's $14.99. I don't know if that's out of your price range or not, but it's out. It is fun. I've waited so long for this game that I'm glad that it came back. And I'm not gonna delete it out of this Switch, because let me tell you, let's not let it die and have someone take it down out of the store, because you never know when that game is probably gonna be gone. Just like Cyberpunk 2077, that's no longer in the PlayStation Store, and I still have it taking up my entire space on my PS4, and I still haven't finished it yet. But what about the other things you can do in the game? Well, besides playing the story again as different characters and getting different endings, I say you can't do much by yourself with these different modes. Battle Royale, you gotta have more than one person to play. There's also like a dodgeball thing that, again, you also need more than one person to play. Every single mode that's not the story is all co-op based. And you can't do that without co-op. Unless you want to play survival mode, where you fight a bunch of zombies in this mode, and see how high your score is. And it doesn't matter how high your score is, you're always a loser. Sir, I played that mode a lot as Ramona Flowers, and I leveled her up a lot in that zombie mode, which made it kind of easier to play the story a second run around. I mean, it's much more faster than before when I was Scott. So yeah, am I recommending this game? Of course, as many would recommend this game. This is like the first ever movie tie-in game / comic book based game that is in high demand. I mean, you don't hear that for a lot of movie games. Mostly people are like, ugh, a movie game. Fuck that game. Oof, it's disgusting. I don't like it. Get this shit out of here. Like, they just... like, those games are left into obscurity. And I have like a few movie games on me myself. I mean, I have the Harry Potter Quidditch Cup game for PlayStation 2. I have the Speed Racer video game for PS2 as well. And those are movie games that were filled into obscurity, but they are pretty fun games. Even like a fun movie game like X-Men Origins Wolverine, where it has nothing to do with the movie at all. Like, at all. Has nothing to do with the fucking movie. And, I mean, it is the movie, but it has a plot of its own. It's freaking, like, gory as fuck. And that's the weirdest thing, because X-Men Origins Wolverine is a PG-13 movie, and this is an immature game where Wolverine decapitates motherfuckers, or slashes their heads off, cut off their arms with his freaking with his fucking claws. That game is fun. I remember playing that when I wasn't supposed to. 13-year-old playing an immature game. I didn't care. I really wanted to play it. And we beat that game in one day, because that game wasn't that hard to beat in one day. So we had that game for another weekend or so. Oh, but it was fun. I enjoyed playing that game. Even getting like the Wolverine costumes to make it look like, yeah, now he's wearing the yellow spandex. But yeah, this is a rare instance of a movie tie-in game to get a actual re-release, a remaster. And you don't say it as much as you can with these types of games. I mean, you're not going to be able to play those old Harry Potter movie games, or hell, any movie game, every game that was based on a, movie. I mean, you're not going to play Spider-Man 2 again for the PS2 and getting it a remaster. No. Because we got Marvel's Spider-Man by Insomniac, and how they reinvigorated the whole swinging mechanic in that. It's not gonna happen. Like, you're not gonna have another game like those, because those immature games, or those movie games in general, they will just fall away. No one's gonna remember them unless they are hidden gems that people liked when they first played them. Sometimes maybe there will be a game that's in the same bloodline or same vein as those games. Like Batman Begins. From what I've heard, Batman Begins was made by the same people who made the Arkham games. And the combat in the Batman Begins game was basically the blueprint to what they wanted to do with the Arkham games. And it was a effort, because again it's a movie game, but then again Batman Begins became that blueprint to make a better Batman game series, and that was the Arkham games until Night and Origins. So maybe there's hope to play a game similar to those movie tie-in games that we grew up playing. I mean, for me, I would love to have another M for Mature Wolverine game being made, you know? I mean, we kind of had that same vein of it with the Deadpool game. And that game is difficult to get now, so to speak. I mean, I have a physical copy of it because, of course I do. But, hoo boy. Yeah. But yes, that was Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game. It's amazing how we came so far to finally get this game back, and it's great. Even physical copies of it are being sold with a Sonic the Hedgehog-like cover. I really did want that physical copy, but, you know, I've been busy in the house lately, lockdown and shit. So, best way to go was digital. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, or in this case, listening. If you like it, cool. I still don't know how to end these videos. I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao, darlings.
Ow, ow, ow! Ow! Ow!
I forgot to mention that at random you can encounter Knives' dad in the map. He'll appear randomly in the map for you to face him, but you only have one shot at beating him. So yeah, I never read the comic, but I know that Knives' dad hates you for fucking breaking up with her, I think. So yeah, that's a little thing I wanted to say.